The 591st edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up today with promo code MMA SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMA SGPN. Well, what's my rhythm? Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Hi, Generinos. Welcome to episode 591 of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. This episode is going out to one of our friends in the Discord, Shackle Rusty Ford, who I think laughed at some of my jokes or put smiley faces beside some of my jokes. So that's all it takes. This does not go out to Fred Durst, nor the singer Fred Durst, rapper, or the Fred Durst on YouTube who doesn't want atom weights in the UFC. So neither of you people get.
I don't understand the argument. I don't get into fights and comment sections. But like, there's no argument. Not half the straw weights are atom weights. Like, yeah, like let them bang, bro.
We do one-way arguing. We argue through our podcast, and then we don't listen to the replies from people. So that's the way it goes. It's get your own podcast if you want to make claims on that. Fred Durst, you and your hot dog flavored water or whatever that album is called.
Reference, yeah. Chocolate starfish in the hot dog flavored water.
Yeah, I bet Gumby was into it.
No, I was not at all.
Good. Well, it's your age group, so you never know.
My older brother was a real big Limp Bizkit guy. So
no, poor guy.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
he's recovered. He's mostly recovered. Yeah.
Mostly. I don't know. All right, we're talking about LFA. All the big events are on this week. We got PFL. We got LFA. We forgot Bellator, Gumby. Damn. Guess we're not doing Bellator this week.
Darn. No one is anybody on that card.
Yeah. Yes, the future of the sport is on that card in the co-main event. Paul Hughes.
Oh, that's a good one. You know, I mean, like, go ahead and if you want my gambling breakdown of Paul Hughes, go ahead and bet him at negative 72,000.
Exactly.
In that fight.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make your 6 cents on your 10 grand bet.
Yes.
And then feel real great about, get yourself a piece of gum.
Yes, get yourself a piece of gum. There's a good title right there. Get yourself a piece of gum. All right. So LFA, this is a stateside one, right?
It is, yeah.
Not one of the Brazil ones.
Brazil's the next part, but Brazil's 187, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, cool. Yeah, LFA is always putting on good events. This one is going down June the 22nd, my anniversary. That would be Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Denver, Colorado, the Magnus Arena. In a cage, 14 fights. We're not doing all 14. We're going to give you top 5 fights, and then will the lightning round make a return?
It is making its triumphant return.
All right. We had some real lightning here the other night. But yes, all right. Lightning round shall return. Before we get out of that, I got to tell you about a very important thing. You can win millions and millions of dollars. That is very important, right? From Circa. Circa announced that they're giving away $16 million, to be exact, in guaranteed prizes for Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Sign up in Vegas and play from anywhere with footballcontestproxy.com, promo code SGP to get $50 off. That's footballcontestproxy.com, promo code SGP. All right, let's get into the LFA event. Do you like this card, Gumby?
I will say it's got some names that I'm really intrigued on in terms of like where they move forward but I will say everybody's just like a little bit earlier in their career than usually the top of the card is. Like, we'll talk about a couple of the records that we see in like the third from the top and the second from the top fight. And like, they've got all the promise that they might potentially be Contender Series folk in the future, but they're just like, they're like 2025 Contender Series folks instead of like the top of these cards are usually 20, like this year's Contender Series people.
We got a title fight though in the main event.
Yeah, we do. We definitely have that.
We do. Boy, he's not selling that very hard. All right, let's see. Yep, still coughing, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're going to main card fight, starting off with welterweights. Ryan Charlebois from the United States versus Ty Miller from the United States as well. Miller, we don't have odds. Sorry. LFA odds actually don't usually drop super early, right? They're more of a maybe tomorrow, midweek.
Yeah, there's like a Wednesday thing usually. It
Yeah.
depends on the strength of the UFC card that's that week. This one being in Saudi Arabia, obviously the main event took a hit, but like could take an extra day for these to get down.
Yeah. All right. Gumby will do his best to guess for you. All right. We are talking about Miller first. He's 4-0 with 1 knockout. This is his LFA debut. 1-0 as pro boxer. 5 years younger than Charlebois, 3 inches taller. Charlebois 4-2 with 3 knockouts. Never been finished in a fight. 2-2 in the LFA. 1-2 over his last 3. Won his last fight via TKO. Used to fight at middleweight. Were you able to get much film on? Oh, you don't use film. Never mind. I was going to ask about Miller. So you just called up his webpage and Tapology, and you're all set. But anyhow, go ahead. Were you able to find stuff in Miller?
I know quite a bit about both of these too.
Wow.
So Charlebois fought Logan Urban. Actually, his only, I know his record is technically 4-2 or 5-2. You said
4-2.
4-2. I know his record's technically 4-2, but his only real loss is to Logan Urban, who was a guy who made it to Contender Series. His other loss just came from beating the hell out of somebody so bad and accidentally hitting the back of their head once. On a DQing him in that fight. So he's really a 5-1 guy. But I think the 4-2 aspect of it and the fact that he's lost 2 out of his last 3 actually probably plays in our favor in terms of odds. Like, I think he's probably, the books tend to see an undefeated 2-0 guy, especially one out of a halfway decent gym. Like, he's fighting out a fight NFH. Yeah, the one that had Tim Means originally and Ray Borg. Like, out of that gym in Albuquerque. And Charlebois, he's fighting out of a decent gym too, but he's 4-2. He seems like he's the sacrificial lamb for the hot prospect. I don't see that as the case here. So I think the odds will probably come in Charlebois like plus 200, maybe even plus 250 if they really love the prospect. Miller. I think Miller's like a slightly better striker in terms of how sharp he is. Like Charlebois, not necessarily quick, not necessarily like getting after it, but he's got really good forward pressure and good head movement to keep himself away from big shots. And then I think he's got a big wrestling advantage in this fight. Like, I think he gets to the legs well enough that he's going to give Ty Miller like a lot of trouble there. He's also a guy, although Albuquerque's at elevation, right? Too. He's also, Charlebois also fights at elevation, which does wind up being like a big part of the handicap in a lot of these fights. And including one that I'm going to like drive that home hard. But like in this fight, Charlebois, I think if he comes with that wrestling style too, like the fact that he does have the elevation background, it should play well for him. So I think Charlebois, big underdog right out of the gate. I like him here.
All right, there we go. Hopefully in the plus 200 range, maybe even higher. We'll take it even higher if we can get it. We're going to featherweights now. David Mgoyan, AJ Robb, both from the United States. Robb is 6-3, 2 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been submitted 1 time, 1-3 in LFA. He's been 5 of his last 6. He did lose his last fight though. He's fought at bantamweight. 0-1 is a pro boxer. Mgoyan 3-0, 2 knockouts, 1 submission. So he's finished everyone. This is his LFA debut. He won his last fight via submission. That was back in April of 2023. 10 years younger than Robb, 2 inches taller. Mgoyan, were you able to find anything on Mgoyan?
Very little, actually. He was a little bit harder to get a hold of, especially because he's fought real bad levels of competition. And in fact, if you're a Tapology capper, you probably look at AJ Robb and you're like, this guy might be 6-3, but he's had 6 more fights than AJ Mgoyan. All 3 of his losses are to really high level competition. First loss was Mario Batista. Second one was Hunter Azier. The third one, I want to say Isaac Thompson, who is either supposed to be on Contender Series or was. I can't remember exactly. But like 3 very legit dudes. And you might say like, oh man, then he is like only losing to the tippity top, fighting a guy who's 3-0. This should be a cakewalk, especially a guy against bad competition. You got to watch some film on AJ Robb. This dude is all arm punches, all haymakers. And like, if this doesn't end in 35 seconds, he's done. And Mgoyan, I from what I could see of him, because it was little clips. I didn't even get like full film on him in certain aspects, but like, he just seems good enough everywhere. Like he's good enough defensively that he's not going to turn it into a brawl. He's good enough in wrestling that if he got stunned on the feet with one of those crazy shots that AJ Robb, that he would grab him, put a clinch, put him up against the cage and recover. He's good enough where if he doesn't like what he sees on the feet, he can duck under one of these wild punches and he can hit a takedown. Like, I just think Mgoyan is good enough literally everywhere that this dude who throws wild ass haymakers is not going to exploit what he does. Now the odds are really tricky for me here because Mgoyan, to the point I made originally with Ty Miller, is coming in here undefeated. And sometimes when he comes in undefeated and you got a guy who's, 4-2 like Charlebois or 6-3 like AJ Robb, they almost look like the sacrificial lamb for the up and comer. So I'm going to say, since my handicap on the first one was that Ty Miller will be the favorite, I think I have to, by, association, say that David Mgoyan will come in here as the favorite. I'll say a little less high because AJ Robb has that like high level of competition and those names that you will notice on his record. So instead of saying like, negative 250, we'll say like, negative 185 for Mgoyan instead, and Robb at like plus 150. But I'm like not tempted by this line at all on AJ Robb. If you got a book, LFA is kind of tricky with props, but if you got a book with props and you want to sprinkle on the AJ Robb KO prop because it comes in at some extravagant number, like by all means. But outside of that, there's like no reason to like this guy at high elevation.
All right. Mgoyan is the pick, as is Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is now live for the NBA Finals. Create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries, so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. The best part, you can win up to 325 times your original amount. You can now use specials and boosts on all flexed entries. The NBA Finals is still going on, right? Who are you picking up?
I'm going to say if the NBA Finals is not still going on, because spoiler alert, we taped this a touch early. I'm going to say Austin Riley seems to be getting the bat going lately. So let's dig our toes into MLB a little bit. Play his higher than 1.5 total bases.
Atlanta Braves. Go Braves. Don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. Sign up with our promo code MMASGPN, whether pick 8's on or not. And you can claim a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMASGPN. All right. We are moving up the card. Heavyweights, big boys, Denzel Freeman, Stephen Asplund, both from the United States of America. Asplund on the Top Turtle MMA podcast this week. Gumby interview, so make sure you listen. It's a good one.
He's a great time.
Concrete is the nickname. He's 3-0 with 2 knockouts, 2-0 in the LFA. The LFA. Okay, fine. The LFA. 7 years younger than Freeman, 3 inches taller. Batman Freeman, 4-1 with 3 knockouts. Never been finished in a fight. This is his LFA debut. Lost his last fight. 1-1 in PFL. 0-1 is pro grappler. 10 pounds heavier than Asplund based on their past weigh-ins because Asplund is svelte now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's definitely trimmer. Shout out to Stephen Asplund, who listens to this show, by the way. That's how we became... I would say acquaintances at this point. Like we became acquaintances because he called out our show for saying he was fat, and he was like, "Not fat. I used to be fat," which is,
You hadn't seen him. It was Gumby, by the way. I didn't call him out.
It was me. Yeah, I think I called him Chunky. To be fair, I think I said Chunky guy. Because we love
which is a compliment.
Hashtag Chunky guys. Asplund in here, I actually think is going to come in as a pretty big favorite. I originally was hoping he would be an underdog. I talked to some of my people at Sportsbooks, and it seems like they know that this guy is actually, despite his stat, like if you just put these two guys shirtless next to each other and you're like, line this fight, it would be like Denzel Freeman minus 900. But like the thing is Asplund, his newfound shape, which is what we'll call it, his newfound shape has led to him having insane cardio. Like his cardio is out of this world. And I mentioned before, we have to account the fact that these fights are taking place in Denver because his cardio being as good as it is already a weapon at heavyweight. Like regional level heavyweights can't keep up with this guy in the way that he works. And we saw with Denzel Freeman in his last fight that he lost to Isaiah Pinson. I want to say it was PFL Challenger Series. It might have been PFL proper. But he lost to Isaiah Pinson because he didn't have the gas to go 15 minutes. He wound up losing a split decision, gave up some moments late in the fight where you're like, if he could just put his foot on the gas here, he perhaps could take this one. And then he wound up not taking it. And for me, now he's going to be at high elevation. He is a big, strong dude. He's, absolutely got the power there. He throws head kicks trying to knock people out right from the get-go, and it's worked for him before. I just don't think he can go more than 5 minutes at the elevation in Denver with the pace that Asplund is going to put. Because Asplund is going to move forward. He's going to have to defend the takedowns that Freeman brings. But if he does defend 1-2 takedowns or at least gets back up after you take him down, that pressure he has going forward is going to wear Denzel Freeman down. Now, how high of a favorite he comes in is obviously depends on how much I'm into it. I'm going to say he's probably not going to come in much higher than like -150 against a guy with PFL experience. I could be wrong, but like at -150 with that pace and all that kind of stuff, I do like Asplund quite a bit here. Trust, despite the stature, trust this dude's cardio.
All right. What are the odds you want again for it?
I'm going to say -150.
-150 is the pick. All right.
I mean, I'd love him as a dog. I'd love all my picks as
obviously.
dogs always.
Yeah, but you say it probably won't happen, so we'll see. All right, co-main event: Nejra, Repp. Is that how you say your name?
You nailed it. Look at that.
Yeah, I nailed it. She's from Bosnia, and she is up against Veronika Borisova. You can tell she's from Russia because she has Ov in her name. This is a women's flyweight bout, 3 5-minute rounds. Borisova 5-0, 2 knockouts, 1 submission. This is her debut in LFA. She won her last fight via TKO. That was back in March of 2023. She's regional champion, 11 years younger than Repp, an inch of fight. Repp is the Bosnian bombshell. She's 3-1 with 3 knockouts, never been finished in a fight. All her fights have taken place in the LFA. TKO win in her last fight.
So I think Borisova is going to be a huge favorite here. Let's say -400-ish. She's got good wins on her record. She beat Rachmanova, Shavkat's little sister. Obviously that was like her first fight or something like that. So like, I don't know how much to weigh in that, but like she beats a lot of people. I'm going to still pick Nejra Repp. If she comes in as big of a dog as I think she is, I think you just sprinkle on it. Nejra Repp plus 350 is going to be my official guess. And I like her here for 2 reasons. Number one, Borisova does have, as you might expect with a last name that ends in OVA because it's a girl. But like with a last name that ends in OV, you might expect her to have really good wrestling, and she does. But the thing about Nejra Repp is she is notoriously hard to take down. You take her fight with Shannon Clark, who's on the Top Turtle MMA podcast this week, along with Stephen Asplund. You take her fight with Shannon Clark, who is so good at like out physicaling people. That's not a word. Using her physicality against people and working her to the ground. I mean, Shannon Clark put a bulldog choke on a girl so hard she like peed in the cage. Like that's the type of strength that Shannon Clark is bringing. That was a jiu-jitsu black belt. Nejra Repp still kept her feet against Shannon Clark most of the time. She does a really good job of using her own physical strength. Now, the other reason I really like Nejra Repp here is her hands are way better than Borisova's. Like, I think she's going to be much faster than Borisova. And not for anything. If you watch the early parts of Borisova's fights, she has a really hard time establishing range early in the fight. Like, if you take like her first 7 or 8 combinations she throws, she's way too far away to land anything. And then when she does decide to move in, she almost moves in too recklessly. And as you mentioned, Nejra Repp is somebody who's put people away. Her striking's really tight. She just moved down there to train at Elevation and to get that regular training camp all the time. I think both of those things play in her favor. I think she finds the range, and as long as she keeps her feet enough, you're going to see a very big underdog making some people's parlays sweat, but it won't be mine because I'm on the underdog.
Ooh, fantastic. What's the worst number you would play her at?
I mean, I think she's going to win. So like, obviously your appetite for risk sort of matters in this one. And I would say I like her all the way down into like plus 150 range. Obviously like, it's easier to sprinkle a bunch on her when she's in the 300s, which I think is what she's going to be. If she's down around that other number, it'll be disappointing to me, but like I'd still be interested.
All right, let's go to our main event for our championship. Is for the LFA middleweight championship. Azamat Bekoev, he's from Russia. Chauncey Foxworth from the United States of America.
Sick name. Chauncey Foxworth.
Chauncey Foxworth. 5 5-minute rounds, 185 pounds. Is this belt vacant? Because we have an interim champ. Bekoev's the interim champ.
Oh, I think that might
be. Or he was the interim champ.
Did they promote him? I'll put the intern on it. You continue.
Yeah, because he's already defended the interim title once. So that's why
he beat Lucas Fernando for it, right?
Okay. Sure. If you say so. Lucas Alexander, Lucas Fernando, Lucas Almeida. It's all the same, right?
No, not another Lucas Brazilian.
No! A Lucas Vortex. All right, I'll tell you about the challenger first. Regardless, this man does not have the belt. That would be Mr. Foxworth, the Machine, We already have a machine at he can't get a job here at Sports Gambling Podcast. Sorry, we have Moon off the machine already. Foxworth 19-9, 6 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's been knocked out twice, submitted 3 times. 2-0 in LFA. He's won 6 straight and 10 of 11. He's got multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Get a shirt like this one, this faded one. I got to get a new one. I've worn it so much. 0-1 in Bellator, 0-1 in World Series of Fighting. He's fight at 170 pounds, 4 inches reach over at Bekoev. Do you find anything out, Gumby?
Yeah, he was the interim champion. He beat Dylan Butka for it, and then Lucas Fernando was the actual champ, and then they unified in the last fight. So that should be
there you
go. Undisputed.
The real strap. Okay, Bekoev, King Pin, 17-3, 5 knockouts, 8 submissions. He's been submitted once, 3-0 in LFA, and is the champion. And as we just heard, he's won 5 straight and 6 of 8. He's not lost since September of 2021. He's 4 years younger than the challenger.
I'm going with Bekoev. I'm going to say -500. Yeah, maybe.
That's why you're upset about it.
Maybe bigger. When I said we have a title fight here, like Chauncey Foxworth is like on a nice run, but like, and I don't mean to use this word derogatorily, he's a journeyman. He's a guy who anytime he takes a step up, kind of loses to the step up. And unfortunately for him, all of those step ups look just like each other, and all of them beat him pretty damn similarly. The list of people he's lost to, Basil Hafez, stocky wrestling type, yep. Sean Brady, Johnny Eblin, Derek Krantz. Like all LFA regionally level guys who are like exceptionally good at wrestling and like take it to you. What is Azamat Bekoev good at?
I'm guessing wrestling.
Yeah, he takes him down. Yeah, his name ends in EV, but like not just for that reason. Like that's the kind of fight Bekoev wants. In fact, that's how he beat Lucas Fernando, who I think does a better job of keeping his feet than Chauncey Foxworth does. And like, not again, I hate reducing a fighter to just like they can't defend a takedown and will lose to wrestlers, but like there isn't enough growth for me with Foxworth to think that like he's turned a new leaf and he can do something different. And if this is -750 or -900 by the time fight rolls around, obviously you're not laying that kind of chalk on Bekoev here, but like I don't see a reason for him to lose this fight. Like I can't even imagine a way that Foxworth pulls this out. So yeah, give me Bekoev here, and without all that much excitement on what the line will probably be.
All right, don't you go away yet. Lightning round is still coming. Listeners, viewers, and Gumby, don't go away yet. All right, we'll recap the main card picks that he made for us. Bekoev, Repp, a big dog, hopefully there. Asplund, Mgoyan, and Charlebois. All right, before we get to the lightning round, some extra bonus picks for you. We're going to tell you about Rhythm. If you're betting on NBA player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm is a predictive and projections app that makes data and analytics in sports betting easy for everyone. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data to help drive you to better AI-backed betting decisions. Prop predictions are paired with trend graphs so you can see for yourself whether or not the projection has meat, making betting easier for sports bets or DFS picks. One of the things you can do on Rhythm is you can use it as a way to unearth some gems, such as Rhythm was on Jason Tatum, under assists and rebounds the other night when the world and Twitter said bet is over. The robots know. From superstars to bench players, Rhythm finds the best player prop lines, all backed by best-in-class data without you needing to endlessly scroll a sportsbook or look at multiple sites for trends and predictions. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And finally, last but not least, if you're looking for tickets last minute, don't worry. Game Time has you covered. And Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. I've gone on there and checked. They got UFC. I've checked for concerts. They got sports. They got everything there. They got flash deals. You can save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or event. And they got seat views, so you can see exactly what you're going to be dealing with when you get to the arena or the stadium or wherever your tickets are for. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right. Lightning round, crash, bang, boom. We have 9 fights we haven't covered yet. How many of these do you have interesting takes on, Gumby?
I got 3 that I'm kind of interested in what the lines will come out as. Because there's a couple in there that we could just talk about being like absolute blowouts. And, maybe that's fun for some people. But for us, on the lightning round, we're usually looking for value. So one of them is going to be an 0-0 versus an 0-0 fight. Aaron Beltran's going to be fighting Aeneas Renfro. Not Solomon Renfro, not even spelled the way it's Solomon Renfro. But I really like Aeneas Renfro because for 2 reasons. Number one, he's going to be fighting a guy who I think wants to wrestle him. And for me, Renfro has looked really good on the regional scene when he has chances to, use his jiu-jitsu and exploit his jiu-jitsu. He's a really long fighter. I really like his positional ability to get the back and get the rear naked choke in. He's also got tons of experience. Despite being 0-0, he's got like 12 or 13 fights on his record. I think this is a guy who, if we see his opponent try to take him to the ground time and time again, I think he's going to A, fail, and B, also, even if he doesn't fail, I think he's going to find himself in spots he doesn't want. Another one I like is Nick Montez. Nick Montez is the guy, again, lots of regional experience. He's kind of like looked good everywhere with the exception of one fight I watched where he got head kick knocked out and didn't look all that great there. It seems like they're setting him up with a pretty easy first fight. He's getting an 0-0 guy despite being 1-0. And he trains out of a really high level gym. He trains out of 303 in Denver. Again, I don't mean to keep harping on the elevation, but I think that's a big piece for him here. So I think he might have maybe a less good number than Aeneas Renfro does next to him, but like maybe being 1-0 against an 0-0 guy, we still might see a decent line in there. And then the last one, I think we're going to see a really nice line in there is Brittany Camozzi. Brittany Camozzi is somebody who I think everybody was kind of hyped on because her husband was in the UFC once upon a time, and everybody was like, oh, maybe she's good. And now she's 1-3, and she's in there against a 2-1 fighter in City Trujillo. But I actually really like Brittany Camozzi here, mostly just because, I think she can let her kickboxing go a little bit here. Trujillo, I think, maybe is going to be looking to get this fight to the floor, and I don't know, maybe she'll have success there, but I think as long as this fight's on the feet, Camozzi might be a touch faster and a little bit sharper. So at 1-3, you have to imagine her odds are going to be through the roof, especially against, again, they really like to think somebody's a sacrificial lamb, but again, this is another person who's training at elevation, and I think her kickboxing and pace might be a big piece of this. So the ones I like, Aeneas Renfro, Nick Montez, and Brittany Camozzi.
All right, fantastic. That puts a bow on it. We're going to be back tomorrow, though. We got UFC to cover for you, the reconfigured UFC Saudi Arabia event. So we'll get that in your ear holes and eye holes as soon as we have it done tomorrow. In the meantime, Discord's the place to be, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. You can check us out on Twitter, SGPN MMA. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm at Jeff Fox Writer there and on Instagram. You can check us out, of course, on YouTube, MMA Gambling Podcast. Make sure you subscribe. Tell a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend if you like what we do. If you made it this far, hopefully that means you like what we do and you're not hate watching and hate listening. But some of you seem to do that as well. Check out my Substack. Enter my free pick'em contest for the aforementioned UFC event in Saudi Arabia this Saturday. That will be moneymma.substack.com. Listen to Gumby's Top Turtle MMA podcast, Stephen Asplund, and I already forget who you
Shannon Clark, LFA champ Shannon
right.
Clark.
Canadian Shannon Clark, right?
Yeah, so damn polite.
Yes, that gives us away every time. All right, so check out Top Turtle and of course sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. All right, like as I said, back tomorrow. Concrete Jeff Fox, Bosnian Bombshell, Gumby Vreeland. Bye-bye.